Latin. Go skip.
from the Skatalites, the band leader of 32 years, rocking and keeping the tradition open, Mr. Ken Stewart, with shorter hair than I have known him in the past, but it's still the same man. What's up, Ken? Come closer, my man. Let me see you. Come closer.
Greetings, greetings.
Wagwan, man. Wagwan.
Everything is cool, man. Well, certainly everything going on in the world is not so great. And we're losing some great folks by, I don't know, just too many folks. But other than that, I personally had a great summer. First summer I've had off in about 21 years. So
I bet.
I made the best of it despite everything going on around me.
I know the band tours, like the schedule is always in a different country. It's like you're either in South America, you're either in Europe, you're in West Coast, you're just, it's a constant.
Yeah, we're still doing 100 to 150 shows a year, really, depending on the year. And 2019, we were in Europe for 4 separate months.
Wow. It's hard to be a legend, huh? It's hard to be a legend. So the band has been around totally for like 52 years or 50 something years like that. And you've been in the band for 32 years.
Correct. I joined in 88. The band started in 64, which would make this the 56th anniversary.
Wow. So I remember you because I started in 89, but I think my first tour with you was 93.
See, now I wasn't on that tour. I was in the mix once in a while, especially if you were in the New England area. I came to some of the Skavuvi tour you're talking.
But that's what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
That's where I was.
And I was there, but I was not playing in the band. I had already taken my first hiatus, if you will. I had played with the band from 88 until mid-90. And then I left and I officially came back in the end of 98.
Okay. So, but you were still around with Brevet. You were still around with Nibs.
Oh, yeah. Lloyd Nib didn't pass away until 2011. And yeah, I mean, I played with, at one time or another, I played with all the originals except for Don Drummond, who in the 60s. And I never actually played with Ja Jerry. Ja Jerry played the first time I saw them at Night Stage in Cambridge. But he came, by the time I actually really got to meet him, was 2000, and he wasn't really able to play. So it was in Jamaica where we played for the Prime Minister, and he was in the mix for the ceremony and stuff because we got an award and all this kind of stuff, but he didn't actually play with the band.
Wow. You played for the Prime. Who was the Prime Minister then?
PJ Patterson.
Oh, clout at them time there.
PJ Patterson was a lawyer at the time. The Skatalites were up and coming. He did some managerial stuff for them. He represented Brevet on a driving without a license charge. He actually brags. PJ did a Travel Channel special where he literally brags more about being the manager of the Skatalites than he does about being the Prime Minister.
both were a challenge, I would say, because I hung out with them on that Skavuvi tour, and it was like being amongst my family, because my whole family's Jamaican. It's just like, rah. It was a lot of testosterone in there, I would say. That was it. Is that the word, testosterone?
Testosterone.
We say, or the Spanish would say machismo. There was a lot of machismo in there. These dudes, from my understanding, because I grew up in Brooklyn, and Brooklyn is a large West Indian community. One of my friends' father was in the Skatalites, and he never even told me that. Like his last name is Moore, and his father was Yeah,
No way, really?
I took him to the Skatalites, and found out like years later his father was in the Skatalites.
That's crazy. Dizzy Johnny's grandson or whatever the hell.
His son. That's his father.
Sorry.
I was like, what? Years later did I realize?
That's crazy.
Yeah, my father in that band. Like what?
Yeah, we had Dizzy Johnny back in the band a couple times. We had him on the Bunny Wailer tour.
Hmm.
He came to a spotted show, which was Derek Morgan and the Skatalites at Tramps, right around 94 or so. He just showed up because his mom lived in Brooklyn. Like, I didn't realize that he had Dizzy never told me too much about his that personal stuff, kids. Yeah. And of course, plenty of the Skatalites had kids here and kids there, and the real mother, the baby mother, the wife welcomes the kids from the baby mother's other
yes.
to the house, and
one blood.
Interesting.
Alfonso, right?
Yeah, man.
I knew his son right before I knew his father.
Noel.
Yes, drumming.
Yeah.
So I have history with his son, and then I realized later on again that that's his dad.
Well, I'll tell you, I got a story right there. We got a story for you very quickly. If you watch the footage where there's a movie called Cool Runnings, where it's all live at Sunsplash footage from Sunsplash. Okay, so the Skatalites appeared there. But if you watch that footage, they will never, ever show the face of the drummer because it is not Lloyd Knibb. It is Noel Alfonso.
What?
And I learned the Skatalites music from the album Live at Sunsplash, which Lloyd was the only album that Lloyd had with him when I met him, but he never told me it wasn't him playing on it.
Jummy's bad.
Man.
He's bad, always.
No,
big up yourself, Noel. Anyway you're there, Noel. Big up yourself.
Yeah,
we're gonna run a couple of videos. We got what, 3 videos and they're pretty lengthy. We're gonna run some videos and we'll come back and talk to you. We'll fill some questions in between all of that as well. All right.
Scene.
It's pretty casual and light. We're good here. Jario, link up a video for me, man.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we are back in the house with Ken Stewart of the Skatalites. 32 years and going strong. And I seen you like nurturing younger artists to come in and play in the band. Like, what's your favorite lineup or favorite musicians, or should I even ask you that have graced the stage with you?
No, because that's like asking me my favorite song, and I just can't make decisions like that.
You don't
Really,
you don't have it.
I'd have to say that one of my favorite guitarists is definitely Ernest Ranglin.
Okay.
Even though he technically was never a Skatalite,
Mm.
but certainly played plenty of tracks with the band, and especially that album Ball of Fire does some killer stuff on that, and but just as a technically proficient guitarist, he's pretty ridiculous,
Mm.
and still, and 88 years old and still able to rip off some like 64th notes or some shit,
Mm. Do you see any younger players that have the chops like the original Skatalites that play with you?
Always, that's why they play with us mostly. I mean, there's, there's a lot of different pools, and of course, I've had different. I mean, I've always tried to keep as many elderly Jamaicans in the band as
Mm.
possible
Of
for
course.
authenticity reasons. But a lot, especially trumpet and trombone, that's a hard instrument to play when you start to get old. And
Yeah.
a lot of the guys that used to play with us, veteran Jamaican players, aren't so great with the chops anymore.
Mm. Mm.
So it gets, and then there's other issues like just
Visa.
some people just aren't made to tour, you know. So
Do you,
when you're in a band that averages about 125 shows a year, then you got to
mm.
be, physically, mentally, kind of able to do that, and
Yeah.
it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough
Touring
for me.
touring life is not
It's
easy for everyone.
tough for me when I was, 40, and now half the time I don't know how I do it. I have to always go back and look at the T-shirt from the. Actually, I have a great T-shirt. This is from the 40th anniversary tour. This is like the amount of
Damn.
dates we were doing back then. I don't know if you can see that.
Crazy. Looks like there's
That's
over
how I
50.
figure out what happened that year. I have to go back. Oh yeah, right. Yeah. That was the first time we played at that club because we played there twice that year. Yeah.
Are you playing with the same musicians every night, or are you switching in when you get into different parts of the world?
No, very so. I mean, lately, well, Vin Gordon lives in Paris, and for various reasons, he wasn't, actively touring steadily with the band, but we were trying to use him whenever we were in Europe. We still are doing that. Probably he's going to come back as an absolute full time. We're working on that. There's, visas and all that stuff you got to get, which, they want an arm and a leg for all that stuff. And
Yeah.
the amount that we play in the United States anymore is barely justifiable. But we try to do at least one tour of the U.S. a
Mm.
year, try and keep the market, keep people aware that we're still out there. But
Oh, they're aware you're out there. They're aware you're out there. I came and saw you at the Brooklyn Bowl. It's about
oh,
a year or two ago. I didn't come up and say hi. I didn't want to groupify you, so I just stayed in the back and I watched the show. I watched the show. I was there.
cool.
I got a question for you. It's from Annie Clemens. Question for Ken.
Hi,
Af-
Annie.
After so many manifestations of the Skatalites, is there anything to learn from the most recent musicians who played with you? It's a two-part question. I'm going to give you that one first, and I'll go to the second one.
Well, yes, it's always because every musician that comes to the band adds their thing, and typically we pull from the New York jazz scene, and the players are pretty proficient, So yeah, they teach us stuff, and we teach them stuff. Mostly, we try to teach them how to play ska,
Mm, yeah.
the Jamaican traditional flavor. And they're allowed to do their own thing too.
The next part says, "Do you ever hear a song you've been playing for decades and hear and feel something new from it?" That's again from Annie. Annie.
Yeah, I mean, certain tunes, I don't care how many times I play it, it's still not old, because we play it in a different way, slightly. Something's different, and this is the thing, the argument about the steady lineup. Like, I think that's one of the things that people love about the Skatalites, because you never know who you're going to see next.
Mm,
Like, even if it's a one night fill in, some guy couldn't make it, so there's so and so is an awesome, well known musician. For instance, Andy Basford can play guitar for us. if you know who that is.
I do know him. I've taken him in
Of
too.
course you do, but I'm just talking to the folks.
Hmm.
But we have all. I mean, you never know. Desmond Decker popped up on stage with us in London. Rico Rodriguez. And London was crazy, man. Between just anybody and everybody would just oh, so and so's here. Oh, great, yeah. Oh, they said they were in the band. Yeah, yeah. He's in the band now. Get on stage, buddy.
I've heard it said from the Skatalites when I toured with them. I've heard it said that they invented reggae, and he said the first one they did was the real rock. I don't know. I'm sure you're
Well,
privy to this information.
well, I think there was actually they're referring to Rockford Rock.
Yes, sorry.
It was Rockford Rock was recorded actually the first time as psychedelic rock was Dizzy Johnny on trumpet at Studio One, but it wasn't Lloyd Knibb. It was, the band, probably the band called Sound Dimension or the Soul Vendors. I can't remember what, or even Brentford Road All Stars. Yeah, a couple of different names that the Studio One band went by. But I believe that was Soul Vendors. But it's Brian Atkinson on bass. It's not the actual Skatalites, but it's one of them had the idea to do the song is actually called El Combonchero and was recorded by Rafael Hernandez, composed by Rafael Hernandez, God knows what year, and has a whole different vibe. If you listen to the Spanish version, I believe he was Puerto Rican or, yeah, I think that one's Puerto Rican.
So
Latin Goes Ska was
hold
actually.
on a second. 1 second. Let's get back to that. So you're saying reggae was created by someone in Puerto Rico?
Well,
let's not skip that.
That's the thing. I mean, Dizzy Johnny took that song, and that song isn't even a reggae song. If you also, that song is technically a rock steady too, hence the name psychedelic rock. But it was borderline. That's as the music was starting to transition into reggae. And if you hear contemporary bands play it, they play with an organ bubble.
Yeah.
And there's no organ bubble in the original track. It's pure piano, man. And it's a lot faster. It's, it's pretty, it's cooking,
Yeah.
It's a pretty quick rock steady, the beats per minute are up there,
So we have reggae. I'm just sticking with you for a second there. We have reggae thanks to Puerto Rico.
Well, they just took that tune from that guy, and a lot of people probably didn't notice. The other hit that he had around the same time was Swing Easy. That song is Fiddler on the Roof. Listen to the melody. It's plain as day. I played that song. My mother bought me the book as soon as the movie came out. My mother bought me the piano book. All that sunset. If I were a rich man.
Yeah, man.
Same thing as Fiddler on the Roof, man.
Yeah.
And same Johnny Moore, too.
Yeah.
And they recorded both of those on that album, Swing Easy. Ball of Fire.
Wow. You got that. You heard that. You heard that. You heard that, ladies and gentlemen. I gotta say some viva Espanol. Viva! That's enough respect. It's gone far. My knowledge, I never knew that.
The other bulk of the Skatalites repertoire was from Puerto Rico via what's his name there? Mongo Santa Maria. Okay, Mongo Santa Maria wrote the song. Slightly different version, obviously. They redid it and scot it up, but El Pussycat. Come on, everybody, let's do El Pussycat. That song, Mongo Santa Maria. And if you go through the 45s that were recorded either before or after the Skatalites actually formed, you will find that they covered the entire Watermelon Man album. Not just one song, all of them. they did do a lot of cover songs, and they had, Don Drummond was the chief writer, writing most of the original stuff. Tommy had a couple original tunes. Lester had a couple along the way. There wasn't, I mean, but there was a lot of stuff that they brought to the table that, and Coxon was involved with that tune selection business too. And what they would do, a lot of, you see this song, it's called Nuclear Weapon, and you put it on, that one I believe is not a cover, but I'm just saying, for an instance, you look at the name of the song and you think, well, that's a current, Dr. Killed, or what's a President Kennedy, for instance, all right, or Lee Harvey Oswald. That, I believe, Lee Harvey Oswald is a cover, but they took it and they played their arrangement, and then the name gets put on Lee Harvey Oswald because that's when that was recorded right around the time President Kennedy got killed. So, and that, you're talking pre-Skatalites, and that's actually one of the things that Lester was saying to me. He's like, I remember that the last song we recorded before we formed the Skatalites in the studio, the last song we recorded was Lee Harvey Oswald. I said, well, that had to be recorded somewhere between November 22nd or whatever it was, 1963, and probably before the new year was out. If it was actually in 63, because, a lot of those guys had fuzzy memories about when the band even started, There was newspaper articles and stuff got found that showed them, oh yeah, well, there was that one rehearsal we had that actually turned into the first gig because there was so many people showed up to the rehearsal. There was so many people outside the house. It's like, all right, well, just let them pay and come in, man. Then somebody's gonna get some box of beer and done.
I got some more questions for you. I got some more questions coming for you. Hold on a second. Hold on. This one's from Tazy Phillips. What's up, Tazy? Big up yourself. It says, is there a good story of how Ken originally got hired by the Skatalites?
Well, yeah. I mean, I originally met Lloyd Knibb. All of a sudden, I went to see the Skatalites. I didn't even know what Jamaican ska was. I didn't even know what English. I didn't know all of that. I loved the English beat. People said, oh, yeah, ska, that's like what the English beat play. You got to go see these guys, because they announced that they were coming, So I went to see the band after a cancellation, postponement, because of snow here in New England. So anyway, now I go to the show, and here's the Skatalites, and I'm just in awe. I heard one advertisement before I came, and they didn't even say Skatalites. It said Roland Alfonso and his orchestra, and they dropped the James Bond track. And I could hear just by the age of the recordings, like, wait a minute, what is this? Like, this predates the English beat by 20 years. Like, come on. So then I got there and they played, I was like, it's like Dave Brubeck went reggae here. Like, what happened here? How can this stuff exist that I don't know about it, And then they played this song, Tough Talk, which is by the Jazz Crusaders. And I'm a huge Crusaders fan. When they played that, I was just, yeah, this is like the Crusaders. Like, let's get Wayne Henderson and Wilton Feller and bring them right to sit in with you right now. Like, I was just in awe. So, I said to my buddy, I said, boy, if I could ever be in any band in this genre, like, this seems to be the perfect combination of jazz and reggae. Which I was always a jazz fan, but I never really learned to play it right. I play around with fusion a little bit, and I do my thing. But so anyway, all of a sudden now I'm playing in this reggae band, and I'm barely playing reggae for a year at this point. So now here we are, 3 months down the line, and the band manager says to me, "Oh, so and so can't make it to this gig we got coming up. So Lloyd Knibb from the Skatalites is going to come play." And I'm like, why would he want it to thinking? Why would he want to do that? So all of a sudden now it changes to Lloyd Knibb is coming to live in our house, and he's going to be our drummer. And I'm like, again, what, like by this time I want to send this guy a message like, run away. Like, because this is not the best scene to come bring your belongings to and hang out for any length of time. So he came and there he was. Like all of a sudden, there he is in front of me. And I'm like, my God, we got friendly immediately because, we both smoke ganja. And he was, I tried to befriend him and hang out with him as much as possible because obviously I knew who I was talking to, and tried to get some pieces because I didn't really know anything still about the band. I never like went home and did research. You didn't have an internet. You didn't have YouTube to call up the music. You didn't. So that's that. He was playing in that band, and then I start to understand that the Skatalites is a little bit helter skelter and not organized, not really playing. They're playing at SOBs once in a while, and that's pretty much it. Although the potential is there, and the reason he came to the United States was to start the band again. So finally, there's an audition because there's a gig. There's a gig scheduled, big gig that was going to be with. It was in fact with not with Count Ossie, but the band that was left, Mystic Revelation of Rastafari, and Skatalites played at the Triplex Center at the, I don't know, Manhattan Community College, something like that, right there on the west side there, right facing the river. Anyway, that was the first show that I did not play. And I was kind of supposed to be my first show, but they felt I was still a little green, and that was a big show. So this other dude who was totally green, he was just Jamaican, because he was Jamaican though. I actually had to go to the rehearsals, watch him rehearse.
Yeah.
I was invited to do, you can come to the rehearsals, but the other guy's going to play the show. It's like, okay. So I dealt with all that. And then my first show ended up being late April in 1988 at the West Indies Club in Trenton, New Jersey. The Skatalites backed Owen Gray.
I know Owen Gray.
With no rehearsal. And Owen Gray had no intention of singing old ska tunes. He wanted us to play his
reggae, current songs,
lovers rock, like multi-synthesizer process, like overdubbed, all that. And I'm like, which bass player is going to play this? Never mind me. They handed us the tape the afternoon of the show. Man, I got too many of those stories. We'll be here all night for a month.
I can tell you a story about that. My godfather played those music for Owen Gray. How about that? I used to hang out with my godfather, and Owen Gray would be there, and he would make music.
Well, it was funny because last year we played the Ska Mouth Festival.
Christine.
And I walk up, we just arrived there, and I walked up, and Owen Gray was on the radio, and I looked in the sound booth, and it occurred to me, like, it's the last Saturday in April. It was exactly 31 years, like to the day, that I had met Owen Gray in Trenton, New Jersey at the West Indian Club. Yeah, man. And he's
some more questions for you.
That guy, man, he's like a Toots type. It's like that guy's gonna live forever, man. He can talk and talk. He's great on the radio. I'm like, he'll just tell you everything. Like but he also, when who was it? Island, I guess, released their best of the genre thing. What was it called? Rough and Tough.
Mm-hmm.
The CD that they came out with in the late 90s, I believe. And Owen Gray was like one of the first tunes on there because, the guy plays killer boogie woogie piano too. Like, really tinkles those ivories, like old school stride style,
I got another question here from you, from Tim. It says something about, could you read that for me, John? The Tim question. I can't see it. Something about 2018. Oh, John.
I'm here. So this is Tim from Supernova. He wants to know, where'd it go? I would love to hear Ken's thoughts on Wait, hold on. No, from Tim Receiver. Okay. Have you dried out yet from Supernova 2018?
Actually, I had a blast. I made friends with the lady who owned the winery next door, and she
Okay.
kept me covered and well wined up. I had a great time.
Then here's
That
a
was
question from Bob says, I would love to hear Ken's thoughts on developing killer ska piano skills.
well, it's like developing any piano skills, man. You got to practice and you pick who you want to play like, I guess, or, I mean, I never was about like trying to play like so and so. I guess I can if I want to try, but I never really wanted to try. So, although like Fats Walla comes to mind, some of these dudes like that just sound like three piano players. That's how I want to play. But I don't know. You gotta, to me, and this is something that I noticed about Jamaican trained musicians. There were always really, especially if they did the hotel circuit or the ships, they get a well-rounded, like play everything, man. Play folk, play polka, play Broadway, play whatever you want to play, man. Just learn to play your instrument, and then once you do that, then you play whatever you want masterfully. Which
Yeah.
I still haven't. I ended up as the manager of this band. I ended up playing the other kind of keyboard, the computer one that like really drives you nuts.
Mm.
Yeah, that's I got stuck for the past 20 years being the manager as well as the piano player of this band. Or,
Mm.
that's the other thing I wanted to clarify. Like I've been there since 1998, but I was not the only piano player. And the clip that they showed before was not me. That was Bill Smith. And I was away from the band for most of the 90s. I left in 90 and I came back in late 98. I Other than a couple of spotted appearances, they always called me up if I was at the show and in the area, they always called me up to play El Pussycat. Lloyd Brevin, I was played the best Pussycat.
Do you ever think about bringing musicians from Jamaica, say like the young guys from the Alpha School?
I just met two wonderful young men, Rowan and I can't remember the other one's name, Patrick, and the guy it was a teacher. I think his name's Clayton or something close to that. We had a great time here in Boston. They came up because it was like a reciprocal thing. Some guys from up here in Boston went down a band called King's Highway, and they offered they did some jamming and some, what do you call, I guess, masterclass type stuff. Just basically going to Alpha and showing the kids this and that. And then they came up here with two Alpha kids. And we would love to work with the current students. I mean, there's visa issues.
Mm.
There's certainly readiness issues. These kids you got to be ready.
Well, there might be a chance too, because they're supposed to come over next year, possibly. If I might be overstepping my bounds, but you can speak to Tim about that. There might be an opportunity to bring some of these kids up. And
yeah, I mean, I think.
Are you playing? Are you playing next year? Are you playing Supernova next year?
Well, if they let us have it, right?
There you go. There you go.
I'll be there.
I'm just throwing it out there.
I'm thinking of sailing to it this year.
Oh, you got a boat?
I have a sailboat that I can spend the night on. So watch
Okay.
out.
Okay. I don't have my sea legs, but
Tim,
okay.
cancel my room. I'm booking a dock.
Hold on a second. Question here. It says, Coolie Ranx. Oh, this is for me. I love when you guys do this. That's cool. I don't know who this is coming from. The last fest on here was great. I watched all day. Big respect from Los Angeles. Queen P, singer with the legends. Get me the rest of that, John. I can't see the rest of that. Queen P.
The
What's
question
the,
is, how is Lester doing?
Lester is actually doing pretty well. He told me the other day on the phone that he has an idea for a new song, and we're trying to take advantage of that and record that new song.
that's cool.
As we are in process, we've been working on what should have been the 55-year release, but that ship sailed already.
Mm.
We've just had, we've been in the studio for about 3 years actually. We even were at Tough Gong in Jamaica after we got off the ship playing with Damian Marley on the Jamrock cruise.
Mm.
We found ourselves at Tough Gong recording with Ken Booth and Peter Austin from the Clarendonians, and there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming out when we can finish it. It's
Beautiful.
just very difficult for us to deal with the whole remote thing, given the generation of elders that we're dealing with mostly. And
Understood.
look, it's coming.
Understood.
Come
But
on.
don't you have a live show coming up in the month of October?
Well, that is, yeah. I don't
Think
have
about that.
any. I mean, we're going to play a live stream. It's going to be available all over the world. Tickets, you can get. It's going to be a show at a club in Manhattan, but no one will be able to come to the show.
Okay.
But we're going to try to make it as interactive as possible,
Beautiful.
and we're going to try and make it as interesting. We're going to have a lot of special guests, and the official announce will come very soon,
Sweet.
by the end of the month.
Sweet.
But it's going to be on October 30th. It's going to be, live streaming from. Well, we have some very special guests that I can talk a little bit about. I mean, we have Larry McDonald's.
Shout out.
Probably know, but a lot of people don't understand that technically Larry really is an original Skatalite. I mean, he was playing a lot of the live shows when they started the band. He was playing at Bournemouth Club, and he was playing a lot of on the tracks in the studio. And he was asked to come back and play on High Bop Ska when they made the High Bop Ska album. And I think he might be on Ska. What's the other one called? Greetings from Ska Mania. I don't know. Anyway, but Larry is also, very well known for his work with Gil Scott-Heron
Mm.
and Bob Marley, and just, endless. He played some shows with Mighty Sparrow recently. So
Legendary.
Larry, who's, an octogenarian, still doing very well on stage and off. And we have, let's see. I talked to him today, actually, and he asked me to bid everyone greetings from Alfonso Castro.
Okay.
Alfonso Castro was a
The
dancer
dancer. I know.
when the tour came, and people don't understand that Jamaica didn't actually send a delegation to the World's Fair in 1964 because they were too late to get into it. They didn't even start the country until August of 62, and that was, by that time, the stuff was already booked.
Mm.
So they sent a tour, or they created a tour simultaneously at the same time as the World's Fair. But the tour actually went to a lot of major cities in the U.S., and it included, Jimmy Cliff and Roy Panton, and Alfonso Castro was one of the major ska dancers.
I've seen him several times.
Yeah, he's performed with us.
He was at your
almost
show.
every time
Exactly.
at Brooklyn Bowl.
Yeah,
And
he
for
was
the
at your
past
show.
like 5 years, he's there.
I've seen him with Radigan and Barry G. I've seen him. I've seen him 1,000 times killing it.
Yeah, man.
I got some more questions here for you. Oh, to let you know that Supernova, we actually did a marathon, a music-thon, and we sponsored a student at the Alpha Boy School. So he'll
Yes. I
have
was involved a little bit in that.
exactly. You were, but I was told to tell you that in case you didn't know. I don't know why
Yeah.
that was. Anyway,
I
next
know that
question.
the fundraiser was very successful. I know
It
that.
was. It was absolutely
I was very
fantastic.
pleased. Thanks,
Yeah,
everybody, Supernova fans, etc.
absolutely. Absolutely. Very proud of the community for that. Another question here for Ken. It says, question from Danny Ocho Cepeda. Is there a new band that Ken thinks everyone should listen to? That's a great question because I was going to ask him that one.
Well, I get into trouble because I don't want to omit anybody, but there's so many.
Just start from A. Start from A.
I mean, jeez.
Start from A.
Let's go to B. The Bandoos from Portland, Oregon.
Shout out to Jeremy. Bang, bang, bang. I play him.
The Scotch Bonnets.
Lady Hatchet. Bang, bang, bang.
Area.
Stila. Keep going.
Steady 45s from LA.
Working on it.
Rusty Zinn, and I can't remember the name of his entourage up there in San Francisco. Lollipop Laurie from Russia.
Okay.
Killer. You know, they're like super polished, really. Check out their videos. They just played it nonstop in Mexico last year. They're just starting to tour outside of Russia now. Like, that was their first big one. And they know that I love them and I'm trying to help them. The Statuesques from Ireland.
Bong, 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 bong. D.
Another all-female band. It's, coincidentally, I'm also very good friends with Le Baretti from Italia, from Bologna.
I don't know them.
But there's bands, you know, there's bands of all shapes and sizes and colors from every country that are just doing it up, man. You got your neo-traditional ska, you got your third wave-ish kind of ska, you got your two-tone-ish kind of ska bands. And
that leads me to the next question. It says, what sounds... Hold on, I'm going to get you now. It says, this question is from Matthew Chappell. He said, what sounds and styles does Ken like to play at home, on the bus, in the car, in the shower? Or, I can't read the rest of that, John. Could you get that part for me? Is it a bone time? Is it a chalice time? Is it a spliff time?
No, I mean, I play and listen to all kinds of music with a groove mostly. You know, I love all kinds of groove music. If it doesn't have a groove, I like a little bit of psychedelic stuff from way back, like Pink Floyd and that kind of stuff. But even I think the Pink Floyd songs I like actually the ones that have a groove. So I don't know. It's I particularly like funk, Zydeco, Cajun, blues. That's what I started with. Very, you know, blues-oriented rock. Jay Giles from Boston. Big up Peter Wolf. Well, I actually performed one time. Toots was here at the House of Blues in Cambridge. And this is the other thing I wanted to talk about. Rest in peace, brother Toots Hibbert. If you know anything about Toots Hibbert, if you know anything about reggae and ska music, you know that the history between Toots Hibbert and the Skatalites is from the beginning of the history of this music. Rise in power. That's all I can say, man. What a damn shame. He had a whole bunch of years left to really, this virus can kiss my ass.
Hold tight. We got another question for you on that note. Hold on a second. Let's take a breath for a second. This question is from a young man by the name of Chris Murray. We love Chris.
Oh yeah, Chris.
Chris' question is,
how did the shoreline, Chris?
Well, yes, he took the shoreline off because it was too gangster. This is what the man said. How did the original Skatalites musicians perceive the scene of the third wave? There's another part to that. Could you read that other part to it, Johnny? perceive.
how did they perceive the music and the scene of the third wave?
They absolutely loved it. And as I say many, many times, they certainly helped it blossom
That's for sure.
and develop, because you could sit and talk to Roland Alfonso. He wasn't some ego pretentious guy who was going to hide in his dressing room and not let other people in there. Those guys welcomed everybody.
That's the truth.
Most of them, almost anytime you could talk to them, anything, any of them about anything. You wanted to ask them a question about music, they were there, and that really, but they loved it. As a matter of fact, I'll remember our first gig at the Whiskey A Go-Go there in LA, and I can't remember who the opening band was, but I can remember definitely when we were playing, people started jumping off the balcony. And we kept hearing stories about like Fishbone shows in Tijuana where they jumped off the second balcony.
Yeah.
And then of course we saw people get killed from jumping from the second balcony in Mexico at the alleged farewell Scapi concert. Like that was like 15 years ago or something. But yeah, I mean, they were always Roland. When he saw that, though, he was like, Roland used to do this.
That's how he laughed. I remember that. I have my
that,
signed record from. I still have a signed record.
Also, the hand, when the crowd surfing, whatever the hell they call it, people passed over all of that, and the people would dive down from the balcony into the hands and expect to get held up, and that's some serious confidence, boy. I'm not sure I'm doing that. And I'm a pretty light guy, but I used to be anyway, before the COVID.
So Ken, I think we're coming to our end. I could talk to you all night.
Yeah, we didn't get very far actually.
I know we could talk to like for like 3 hours. This is so easy. We're gonna play another video. I'm gonna extend it just a little bit longer because I'm sure I'm not the only one that wants to talk to you. So we're gonna play one more video, come back, field some more questions, and say goodnight. John, let me get another video here, please.
All right, we're in.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Excuse me. Welcome back to Supernova Saturdays. We are here with a special guest from the Skatalites, Ken Stewart, of 32 years running the band, playing the band, making the band live on. That's a big responsibility there, brother. Yeah,
It's been quite an adventure.
that's a big responsibility. You have so many spirits on your back right now. Do you feel them?
Yeah, well,
I'm
I
like,
try. That's the thing. I try to run the band like everybody. Like it's even Tommy, would try to run it.
mm,
Uh, he was his special talent. To keep that group of guys, at bay, because a lot of people realize that kind of clash of egos when there's that much genius in one room, like that's can be a dangerous thing, and
oh,
it
I've
was
seen it.
something. It was
I've seen it.
definitely, yeah, you saw it. I mean, it was always there. It's just a matter of keeping it chilled, that's the thing. And when Tommy left, it was quite a task to keep a group of people together that could get along and skip touring and play the music well. And certainly there's always going to be criticisms of this, that, and the other thing. And this guy doesn't play like that guy, and that guy doesn't play like this guy. Yeah, well, that's because he's not him. So, we can't resurrect.
This is the truth.
And yeah, we try to pick people that play in the style as close, in most cases, as close as they can or want to.
Skatalites are also known not just as an instrumental band. They're known to back in a lot of artists. So to this day, in that same type of a vein, would Skatalites now in the year 2000 look to elevate some younger artists, back them as I mean, like unknown artists that live here in America, Italy, Venezuela, Japan, anywhere? Would Skatalites do a record like that?
I mean, I think this is kind of funny because we were talking a little bit about Moonska before we got on here, and
Mm,
if it was up to me, the Skatalites would have owned something similar to what Moonska became, you know.
right.
And I tried to talk to the band about stuff like that when I first came into it, and they just didn't really have those kind of aspirations. But I
Today it's a
think
different day.
now, certainly
You're,
we're there to help
you're, you're
anybody,
positioned to do
other
that.
artists in any way, really. I mean, and we do. I mean, I play with some whoever. I mean, if I play with Freddie Loco in Belgium. I even went over there. We did a little tour with Kevin Batchelor, me, and Vin Gordon all joined with Freddie Loco. Some really good musicians in Belgium that they've been out there 15 years now.
Mm,
And I'll do that. I'll go play a spot with anybody who's interested. And I'd like to start doing more stuff like that because Skatalites have to start. The COVID has created something that I've known and kind of tried to do is slow down the touring pace over the
mm,
years anyway, because
mm,
we can't continue for many, many reasons, be it our physical limitations, our mental limitations, and just the demand and the amount of energy that it calls for to bring this entourage on tour. I mean, the Skatalites is at least 8 people on stage. It can be more. We can have guest vocalists. We just toured with Stranger Cole. Unbelievable shows last year with
mm.
Stranger Cole. Like one of the best things we've done, out there. And anytime, we've done shows recently with Derek Morgan. We backed On the Welcome to Jamrock cruise, we backed Horace Andy,
Mm,
Ken Booth,
mm,
Leroy Sibbles.
mm.
Was that it? I guess that was it. That was probably enough. And Cindy Breakspear, which is Damian Marley's mother, said that
Oh,
we were the best opening act ever.
beautiful.
We played 2.5 hours. As a matter of fact, I had a little splash of suntan somebody put on my forehead, but I didn't have a hat. And I was out there for like 3 solid hours on the top deck of a ship in the middle of the Caribbean. Like
Mm,
I would look
burning.
like I got through. I look like a lobster.
So do you hear what I'm saying? Like there are in this COVID, in this COVID, the younger bands are doing some phenomenal collaborations with each other. And they're taking full advantage of this COVID time where they're just trading tracks, trading songs, and working together as a well-oiled machine. So I am saying, I'm putting this to you because you're in such a position here. There's a lot of rock steady singers within the community that may just need a little lift. And within the organization of the Skatalites and the tradition of the Skatalites, you may want to help fester some of these careers. I'm just saying, because in the
No, I
COVID,
mean,
it's producing some crazy things, and I think that would be wonderful for these artists out here.
yeah, we're definitely. I personally am definitely open to it, and I think there's willingness on most of the members to do stuff like this, and also Doreen can't tour. Of all people,
Mm,
she can't keep touring at the rate that we're touring. She's got to pick and choose her battles and
mm,
the important shows, and especially when we go out for these long bus tours, and it's
mm.
just kind of grueling.
Shout out to
To
Doreen,
4 weeks.
Schaefer.
Yeah, that's our saving grace, Miss
Mm,
Doreen Schaefer. Big up
mm.
yourself.
Yeah, man, enough respect.
Yeah,
So
man. She's an
I'm
amazing lady. Like
veteran, veteran, veteran
she's
is
been
the
there
word.
since day one, putting up with all of us.
With a
All
smile.
of us.
Always see
Oh
her with
my
a
Lord.
smile.
Yeah. Try a little smile. Ba da 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 ba 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 ya.
Uh, big tune.
That's her, man. Every one of her songs, she comes out with love, and this she just sings about love, man. The whole set, and everybody just feels the love, and she loves it, man. It's like I said, all of them. We talked about a little bit about this before we started the show. Like most of them want to keep going until they can't go anymore.
That's it. What else are we here for?
Roland collapsed on stage and died 2 weeks later. And that's the way they want to go. That's their idea of the way to go.
Yeah, respect.
They'd rather do that than go in bed or whatever. I mean,
Yeah, that's the point. Ken, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here tonight.
well, I thank you, man. I thank
Uh,
you. It's been a pleasure to share what it was too short though.
I know an hour is not long enough. we, we'll have you back another time. In fact,
Part two.
yeah, we're gonna do a part two. I'm gonna keep in touch with you about that collaboration because I know a lot of great rock city singers, and I would not mind being a part of helping this thing come to fruition. Because I think people like I'm not even gonna name any names, but there's so many people that I know, and I'm actually watching. I think they would do great having the brand of Skatalites behind their name. It'd be amazing for the scene as well.
All right, and keep watching for the announcements. We're going to be streaming October 30th from Sony Hall. I guess I'll say it now.
Yeah.
They'll be using their advertising systems and all that. And we're going to offer. It's going to be a big deal. people from all over the world will have an opportunity to see the Skatalites, get your yearly dose of Skatalites.
Yeah, man.
Shout
1,
out to everybody. Big up
2,
yourself.
3, 4, 5.
Now you
I
gotta
should
go
do the
big.
countdown. Should I do the countdown backwards? 10, 9, 8. Freedom! Thank you so much, Ken. It's enough respect for having you here tonight. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week with a special guest. You'll really like this special guest. I haven't sealed it, but I did talk to him, and it should be a good look. Trust me. Ladies and gentlemen, enough respect. Out!
All right. Thanks,
Oh,
Coolie.
done,
Well,
bud.
I look forward to see what happens next week too.
For real. Thank you. Thank you, Ken. Respect.
All right. Everybody say ska, ska, ska. Say ska, ska, ska. All right, so we're gonna give you this big one now from Studio One. This one's called 007, James Bond.